We are back in our wide format free sign pricing calculator that we built here at FireSprint for you to use. Check us out at firesprint.com if you haven't already yet. We are a trade-only printer. We only sell to other printers. So if you're using a calculator like this, chances are you'd qualify to buy from us. If you don't want to do all this math, just go to our site, quote it out, double or triple the cost that we're selling it to you for, and offer that to your customer. And chances are, especially on orders less than $200 or $300, you're going to do really well on that. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty, I believe this is video 4 in our series, so we're going through. And today we're going to talk about the vendor list and the printer list. And so the vendor list is an easy one to go through. Very simply, what we're doing is we are just listing a list of vendors that we work with. So, of course, we've got FireSprint there, but, there might be other vendors that you want to list. And all this is doing is when you're looking at your substrates, your laminates, and your accessories, it just helps you remind you where you typically buy that substrate from. So not totally necessary, but just kind of a helpful little tool there. The printer list is what we're going to get into in a little more detail here. And this is a list of the available printers that you have. So when we go to the calculator here, we can actually choose a printer from the list. And so we want to make sure that those printers line up and are as accurate as possible for us to do our quoting. And so let's just put in right now like an HP R1000. Sorry. And it's a slightly narrower version of the R2000, I think. I don't know that much about it, but it's a machine that's out there that you can find out more information about. The cost per ink, square foot wise, is might be a challenge for you to actually determine. The best thing to do would be to audit, a period. You fill up your tanks, and then you audit how much ink you use, kind of like checking your odometer against your fuel gauge. But a lot of times the manufacturers will give you an ink cost. If you add 20 or 30% to that, that's usually probably pretty good. The other thing you can do is you can go into your RIP software and or your print software, and oftentimes it'll tell you how much you're spending on ink. It may give that to you in milliliters, and then you can do some calculations based on how much you're spending per milliliter when you actually buy your ink, and you average that out over a bunch of different jobs. So I would kind of calculate this honestly a little bit on the high side, but I would not go worst case scenario here. We want your quotes to be competitive, but to also cover you in most scenarios. So on this, I'm just, let's say we're at 28 cents per square foot. The maintenance per square foot, this is something that you may not have thought of this way before, but this is kind of a cost per square foot on maintenance. So you've got filters and chemicals, cleaning supplies, even gloves and swabs and things like that you're using to maintain your equipment. You may have waste ink type trays that need to be disposed of. You may have waste ink that you're paying to have disposed of. I would include that in the maintenance per square foot. Kind of the roundabout way that I would calculate out maintenance per square foot is I would track all your maintenance costs over a period of time, and then try and do look in your system or just roughly calculate how many square feet, or maybe the printer will tell you how many square feet of material you've run through the printer, how many square feet of prints you've done. And you're going to find that it's probably somewhere between 1 or 2 cents a square foot, maybe up to 15 or 20 cents a square foot, but that's where you add this in here. So I'm going to stick with this 5 cents per square foot maintenance. A lot of our equipment around here is pretty close to that 5 cents per square foot mark. Of course, we're running a little bit bigger printers than the average shop, but anyway, print speed, square foot per hour. This is something that you can get in the catalog and you can open up the brochure, sure, and you can type that in here if you like. But what I would suggest you do is you run some known sizes. So you've got some 10 square foot panels, print 2 or 3 of them with a stopwatch on your phone, use your iPhone or whatever, stopwatch it and understand how many minutes it took and do the math to figure out how many square feet per hour you're actually producing, not what the catalog or the brochure says, but how many square feet per hour you're really getting out of this machine. Now, that's at a production speed that you like to run. So, let's say on this, we're getting 300 square feet per hour. Well, let's say the R1000 has 2 modes, or let's say the Canon Colorado here has 2 separate modes. We've got quality mode up here that's running at 300 square feet per hour. But let's say we do the Canon Colorado production mode, okay, which is a little bit faster mode, production, and we're still at roughly the same square foot cost. Maybe we're doing a little less ink even. But we are at 500 square feet per hour on this mode. So in doing that, what I have now is when I go to the calculator, I actually have 2 different options. I've got the Canon Colorado quality mode here, and I've got the Canon Colorado production mode. And so depending on what I'm printing, maybe I'm printing banners in production mode, and maybe I'm printing small decals with fine text or, things like that in quality mode. So don't let the printers list confuse you here. You can just add 2 different printers here for various speeds on the same machine. Now this last column here, so the square foot, this is a calculated column, so just leave those formulas alone. You don't have to mess with that. The shop rate adjustment column here is, so basically what this calculator is doing is it's determining the print speed and how many hours it's going to take to print something, and it applies your shop rate to it. Well, the shop rate in a previous episode, we came up to $89 an hour. So on the printer here, I actually, on the R1000, it's let's say it's or the Canon Colorado, they're both like $100,000 to $200,000 machines, right? So I think I should be making closer to $200 an hour. So I'll say there's $110 an hour shop rate adjustment, $110 an hour shop rate adjustment. But maybe this old HP Latex 360 that I have that's, been around for a while, I actually can walk away from that. It's got a take-up roll on it or something. And so I don't need to charge my full shop rate. I'm still charging for ink. I'm still charging for materials. But the shop rate I can do a little lower because I don't have to have a person standing there watching it. Like one of my operators can run 2 or 3 of these machines at the same time, for example. So I may put in a negative shop rate adjustment. And there's notes up here that kind of talk about what these rates are. So now that I have those filled in, I've got my vendors list and my printers list. In the next video, we're going to go over accessories, laminates, and substrates, and then we'll be able to start building quotes from there. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you haven't checked us out yet, please check us out at firesprint.com. We're a wholesale trade-only printer, and we want to work with you.